Hi everyone, welcome to Michelle on the Money. This is all about your money from consumer to business news in the bi-state. We are starting with the St. Charles City Council voted to effectively block data centers citywide. This ban comes after a proposed controversial data center was met by heavy protests. And we are starting to see municipalities across the country use their zoning codes as a tool to control data center construction. And that is exactly what happened here. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski reports with more on this week's meeting.
Last August, the city of St. Charles put the first moratorium on data centers in the country after a controversial data center was proposed near the city's well field. It was called Project Cumulus and was shrouded in secrecy.
This is corporate greed, and we, the people, are paying for it. Just another reason why we don't want or need a data center in St. Charles.
Thousands of people signed a petition opposing data centers.
Residents in this city who have all different kinds of backgrounds, professions, and political beliefs found common ground on the idea that the St. Charles identity, way of life, and its resources are worth protecting and are far more valuable to us than any economic incentive a data center could offer.
As a part of the moratorium, city staff were charged with researching data centers and came up with a resolution defining data centers as a building, group of buildings, or facility whose primary use is data processing or data storage and is used to house computer systems, servers, and associated components. Before this definition was created, data centers fell under warehouses in city code. With this definition, data centers would also be excluded from the list of permitted or conditional land uses, effectively banning data centers.
I think it's clear that there's currently no place in our community for a data center as they currently exist. I'm glad that staff took the time to research this and bring this forward to us. And I'm glad to support this text amendment, and I think other council members are also supporting it.
The council passed the ban in a 7-1 vote. 2 members were absent.
All bills for final passage have been approved.
And again, that was Laura Barczewski reporting. So now that this definition has passed, data centers would have to be classified as a permitted or conditional land use in order to be built in St. Charles. And it would have to go back in front of the city council. So we will be keeping an eye on this and, of course, keep you posted. Now, earlier this week, a 13-hour public hearing on 2 proposed data centers in Franklin County wrapped up. Hundreds of people piled into a gym at East Central College in Union on Monday morning. Close to 150 people signed up to share their thoughts. And right now, no other meetings or votes on those data centers are scheduled. Also earlier in the week, the data center debate taking center stage in the city of St. Louis. This week, we know that the Planning and Zoning Commission discussed proposed regulations for building new data centers. Laura is back with that proposal and the public feedback.
The St. Louis Planning and Zoning Commission received a big update on proposed data center regulations for the city of St. Louis, a process months in the making.
Zoning is not the city's only tool for managing this use, but there are other regulations also in the process of being developed related to perhaps kind of distinct water rates for this use.
The city's Planning and Urban Design Agency presented the most recent draft, which they say included changes influenced by public comment.
Most cities we saw do have some by right allowance for data centers in at least one of their zoning districts. We are actually in this updated framework not recommending that.
Planners define different types of data centers as micro, standard, and major. Major data centers using 30 megawatts of power or more cannot be within 600 feet of things like bus stations, homes, schools, or public parks, and must be in Industrial Zone K.
The regulations have a 500,000 square foot cap, which is the size of some of the larger office buildings downtown that could be appropriate for adaptive reuse.
Many of the people in the crowd Monday night were holding these signs asking for community approval in the same way that things like homeless shelters and businesses wanting a liquor license require resident consent.
The regulations proposed do not allow any form of mandatory resident consent from the public. What this means is the St. Louis community will have to fight each future proposal one by one.
Some commenters say they believe in reasonable regulations, but some in this framework go too far.
I would encourage the commission to consider a more calibrated 300 buffer zone only for District K's, the industrial zones.
Reporting in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
And the Planning and Urban Design Agency recommended the commission hold off on voting on the framework so that they could fully take public comment into consideration. Also, the O'Fallon City Council is approving the final plan to build hundreds of new homes after previously rejecting it at the end of April. McBride Homes proposed the Caballo Farms development earlier this year, which would add 276 new homes near Highway N. That project would sit next to the Harvest community, already under construction. The council had approved land annexation and an initial plan for the project, but months later voted down the final plan against the advice of the city attorney, prompting a lawsuit from McBride filed in St. Charles County. The final approval was a last-minute addition to the agenda last Thursday, and the motion to approve one was made by one of the council members who voted no last time.
9 yes, 1 no.
Yes.
Jeff. Bill 7852 passed and becomes ordinance number
7313.
With the new approval, McBride says it expects to dismiss the lawsuit. The council also heard another proposal from McBride to extend Caballo Farms by another 14 homes. They could vote on it at their next council meeting, and we'll be on it. 2 libraries are now open for the first time since last year's May 16th tornado. The Cabany and Julia Davis libraries sustained some extensive damage in the storm. Both buildings have now been restored and even received some upgrades. So Cabany and again, both libraries are now open. It did not take a direct hit, but we know that the St. Louis Zoo is still working to repair damage from last year's storm. If you'll remember, the tornado damaged several enclosures and buildings, including the butterfly wing. Zoo crews removed about 120 damaged trees from Forest Park. It has since partnered with 3 local farms to replace them. And while all other damaged structures were repaired, the butterfly wing is still closed while crews continue to work to fix its acrylic dome. Zoo officials say more updates will come as repairs move forward. We'll keep you posted. In the meantime, we are back after major recalls coming up after the break. Employees at a St. Louis-based marijuana company have now won a union vote after a 2-year legal battle. According to the St. Louis Business Journal, Belief medical employees at its Sense facility won the right to unionize by a vote of 11-3. The ballots remain sealed for nearly 2 years. The company challenged that union drive, arguing the workers were agricultural laborers and not eligible to unionize. But last month, the National Labor Relations Board rejected that argument. St. Louis County Executive Sam Page has vetoed a bill set to put new restrictions on free pet adoption events hosted by the county's animal shelter. The shelter has held several of those events to deal with overcrowding. However, a bill recently passed by the county council would have required the Department of Public Health to seek council approval before holding emergency adoption events. Page vetoed the bill, saying it would limit the shelter's ability to address overcrowding.
We do not want to be forced to crowd the animals together to make it more likely for them to get sick or to make it difficult for them to be adopted.
Page's office says the council may try to override that veto. We have reached out to the council for comment. We have yet to hear back. Imo's Pizza is planning to rebuild its Tower Grove South location on Morgan Ford Road. Our news partners at the St. Louis Business Journal are reporting that the city is issuing permit for the new location, and the current store will be torn down once the new building is complete. The updated location will offer both carryout and dine-in service. Imo's operates nearly 100 locations all across the region, and get this, they plan to actually double in size to 200 restaurants by the year 2035. The Trump administration is expanding its prescription drug price website called Trump RX. On Monday, federal officials announced more than 600 generic drugs will be added to that site. The tool allows consumers to compare prices on prescriptions. People can see if that site offers lower costs than local pharmacies or other online options, including Amazon Pharmacy. President Donald Trump says the site will give Americans more options, greater savings, and increased price transparency.
We're also getting and adding new tools to take over websites which will connect patients with the lowest price pharmacy right in their own neighborhood, or alternatively give them the option of getting a discounted prescription shipped straight to their door.
Now, this is the latest move by the president to highlight his efforts to lower prescription drug costs ahead of the midterm elections. All right, we want to tell you about some recalls now. Some popular items in your kitchen could be a part of a recall. We want to tell you about Strauss Family Creamery first. It is recalling some of its organic ice cream because it may contain metal fragments. Now, this includes vanilla bean, strawberry, cookie dough, Dutch chocolate, and mint chip flavors. Those were sold in pints or quarts. Best Buy dates range from December 23rd to December 30th, and the sweet treat was sold in 17 states, including Illinois. So if you have it, throw it out and contact the company for a replacement voucher. Also, a popular seasoning could contain salmonella. Blackstone is recalling some of its Parmesan Ranch seasoning. The company says it contains powdered milk involved in a separate recall from earlier this year. The seasoning was sold nationwide at Walmart and on the Blackstone website. So the Best Buy dates range from July 2027 to August 2027.
Okay, there are some doctors speaking out after the FDA denied approval for a promising new melanoma treatment. It's called RP1. So in clinical trials, about 1/3 of advanced skin cancer patients saw that their tumors shrunk or disappeared, but the FDA says that this study lacked a proper comparison group to fully prove that this drug worked out. Some doctors say that this could really be hard on patients because they have few remaining options at this point. And we know that melanoma is one of the deadliest forms of skin cancer, with more than 100,000 new cases diagnosed in the United States every year.
Baby formula is expensive, and for families on WIC, it is essential. And while the program limits choices, many of its most common formulas rank among Consumer Reports' top picks for low levels of contaminants like lead and arsenic. WIC is a federal program that provides supplemental nutrition and other resources to pregnant women, infants, and children up to age 5. Babies in the WIC program consume about 56% of all infant formula in the United States. For families who rely on WIC benefits, the brands and types of formulas covered can feel frustratingly limited.
In most states, there's a single brand available through WIC and no organic formulas, which can really limit options for parents.
And that limited choice comes at a time when parents are also concerned about contaminants in infant formula and limited supply due to more frequent formula recalls. Consumer Reports tested 90 formulas for contaminants like lead, inorganic arsenic, and BPA.
We found detectable levels of contaminants in a number of products, including some with inorganic arsenic and lead, chemicals that are linked to long-term health risks. But levels varied widely across formulas.
Two of the most commonly covered options, Similac Advance and Enfamil Infant, in powdered form, ranked among Consumer Reports' top choices for having low to non-detectable levels of contaminants. Organic formulas are typically not covered by WIC, leaving families to pay out of pocket if they want them. To get the best price on formula, Consumer Reports experts recommend shopping for formula at wholesale clubs like Costco or Sam's, and signing up for auto delivery programs from the Formulas website or Amazon's Subscribe and Save can actually cut costs by 5 to 15%, and it can include free shipping. And a proposed federal bill could expand options by requiring states to contract with at least 2 formula manufacturers instead of just one. If it passes, the legislation could help reduce the risk to families in the event of some sort of supply issue and also give WIC families a few more choices when feeding their babies. All right, coming up next, 3 top fast food savings and how to save on essential beauty products this week. Well, get this, more young adults are living with their parents. The last time the numbers were so high, it was the 1940s. But the question is why? New data from the Pew Research Center shows about 18% of young adults aged 25 to 34 currently live with their parents, except for a short blip in the 2010s. It really is the highest rate since the 1940s. Men are more likely to live at home than women, and the main drivers are high rent and low housing affordability. Now, back in the 70s, the median price home was about 3 times your annual income.
Today, it's 5 times, right? So and that's largely considered to be pretty unaffordable.
According to Harvard University's Joint Center for Housing Studies, wages across the country have gone up, but just not as much as the increase in housing costs. So think about this. The median annual household income in 1985 was just under $24,000, and the median home price was just under $83,000. Now, when we look at 2025, that income rose to just above $83,000. There you see it. But the median house price was just a tick above $415,000. So wages went up by 252%, while we know the cost of housing actually went up by 403%. Very big difference there. Well, summer is around the corner and singles are ready to mingle, but the cost to go out on a date continues to go up. In our Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at how dateflation is changing the way people are dating.
The cost to eat out has gotten more expensive, and if you're going out on dates, those costs can add up. According to data from BMO Bank, singles spend an average of $189 on a date night. That's $21 more than last year, and it's changing the way people are dating.
I think the dinner date is becoming less common for a first date.
Stevie Bowen is a certified dating coach and has clients all over the country. She says she's noticed singles are ditching dating apps and instead opting to connect in person.
I think it really is just the counter response to all this technology and AI rise happening around us.
Bowen says people are turning to singles events. Sites like meetup.com and Luma have lists of meetup events based on your location. Things like pottery class, cooking class, pickleball tournaments. And then there are sites like City Swoon for speed dating.
There's so many different new ways and creative ways people are trying to meet people and meet like-minded people.
Bowen says these single events can cost between $120 to $160, but your dollar goes a lot further because you're meeting more people for that price. When you do meet someone you like, she says keep the first date simple.
Go drinks or go coffee, something that is low stakes, low cost.
If you do decide to go to dinner, Bowen recommends talking about how you're going to pay or split the bill before the date so you avoid any awkwardness when the check does come. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And that's why people are living at home, right? All right, so if you have to buy gas prices to take out a date, listen to this, because let's take a look at our gas prices. In St. Louis, according to AAA, the average price for a gallon is $4.25. That is actually down 2 cents from this time last week. In the Metro East, you're going to pay about $4.91 a gallon, which is up 3 cents from just a week ago. Okay, so this week we want to show you some ways to save money, whether you are out and about or you need essential items. And this week we are also looking at ways to save on fast food. So you might be saying, okay, why am I holding this Jimmy John's in my hand? Last night Kelly Jackson texted me, do you know there's a sandwich in the dressing room? It's not. It's because you may not know this, but you can actually get day-old bread for 50 cents a loaf. And the store right across the street from KSDK actually has about 6 to 10 loaves on hand. Look at it. It's still wrapped, and I feel it. It is still soft. So, you know, the bread is what makes the sandwich good. Am I right? I think so. So, coming up next, I want to show you a Chick-fil-A hack here. And I've shown you this before, but you're going to save about 25%. Just without a coupon, just by ordering a kid's meal. You're going to get 2 chicken fingers in that kid's meal. You're going to order a bun on the side. You're going to get pickles on the side also for free. And you can even swap out the toy for ice cream. And that is something that I really love. I even weighed the regular sandwich versus the kid's sandwich. It is about the same weight. So it's a very good deal. And you're going to save, you know, a couple bucks just by buying that. Also, I want to show you one other thing. If you are not using the Too Good To Go app, you might be missing out on some really incredible deals. I just learned that in my mom's group, they were like, oh, you can do that? I was like, yes, this is the greatest deal ever. So it's really good on bakery items and supporting local businesses. You're going to get rid of their inventory at the end of the day. So you can also go to places like IKEA and Whole Foods as well. But this weekend, I actually ordered a dozen bagels from Lefties. They've got the greatest bagels, but look at my price tag. Can you see this? My final price, it is $6 at the end of the day, and all you need is the app. I have actually no makeup here, but I showed like all the bagels that I got. I got a really nice assortment of bagels. Like they are very careful and kind about like picking the ones out. So you can see that on Instagram as well. Now, I do want to get to those essential items because there are some really great deals this week that I want to talk about. So basically what we have decided to do is we looked at like CVS, because CVS has some really good deals. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to save big on shaving essentials this week, hair products. We got about $109 of things worth of items for about $30. And you're going to do this by doing several transactions. So we're going to start with razors. And can I ask, can you believe that these two little razors actually cost $40 if you buy them full price? If you buy razors, you know this. So these are the refillable ones. But you're going to get $20 worth of coupons, and then you're going to get store credit back, which brings the price down significantly. You're going to turn around and use the store credit to buy all of these different items. So I want to show you, for example, there's a big hair deal right now going on CVS. But this fabric softener actually ended up costing less than $1.50, these two items together. And then these two items, because this was on clearance and this was on sale and I had store credit, ended up being 89 cents. So again, we're all told we're out about $30 for $109 worth of products. If you want to see the full breakdown, go to ksdk.com and search for this, or you can find me on Instagram. And I got to tell you, also, there are big Memorial Day sales this weekend too, which typically are things that, you know, are going to get you outside for the summer.
As we start going outside more, it's time to think about sunscreen. Some sunscreens may not give you the protection you need. The Environmental Working Group tested nearly 3,000 products and found only 20% were both safe and effective. Some are especially lacking when it comes to UVA. They say UVA radiation penetrates deeper into the skin than UVB, is a driver of melanoma and photoaging, and causes damage year-round through car and office windows, on cloudy days, and even at high altitudes. Melanoma cases are projected to rise 10.6% this year, according to the American Cancer Society. The Personal Care Products Council says overall this undermines decades of research and could discourage sunscreen use. So how do you pick the right one? Well, experts say avoid the sunscreens with really high SPF numbers. Choose lotions and sticks over sprays and powders. Choose mineral protection and avoid undisclosed chemicals or chemicals like oxybenzone. You can see a list of EWG-rated sunscreens on EWG.org.
All right. Well, several area cities are now ranking among the best places to live. Check this out. The U.S. News World Report is naming the top 250 cities to live, and the magazine ranked the places on good value, desirability, quality of life, and job market. So St. Peter's actually rounded out the top for our area at 29. O'Fallon, Missouri was ranked at 30. St. Charles was 114th, and Florissant ranked 152nd. Right now, tickets to all events and concerts at the Missouri State Fair are on sale. The fair goes from August 13th to the 23rd in Sedalia. Headliners this year include the All-American Rejects, Three Dog Night, and Little Big Town. You can find a link to buy tickets at ksdk.com. Just look under the As Seen on TV section. Hundreds of beetles, are crawling around the Butterfly House in Chesterfield. Take a look if you want to head there. A shipment of beetles from around the world was unboxed this week, and many of them come from Asia.
As many of these beetles we will try to raise in captivity here at the Butterfly House. We always want to be promoting conservation, and part of that is captive breeding. We want these beetles to have a sustainable population in captivity so we can share them with the public without relying on wild beetles.
Pretty neat. So all of the beetles will actually spend the next few weeks in quarantine before they're actually put out on public display. Okay, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching Michelle on the Money. For more money stories like these, be sure to join me every day on Today in St. Louis starting at 4:30 in the morning. We'll see you again next weekend right here on the KSDK streaming app.